What's up guys, Tim here from Audio Tutor. Today we are talking about virtual drums, virtual drum kits and drummers, and in particular tuning those drums to enhance your mix. Yep, tuning those drums to enhance your mix. Now today I'm going to talk through two great concepts to have in mind when tuning your drums. And now I'd recommend you try both of these concepts and then maybe even amalgamate the two ideas together. That's what I do. So let's get going. The first concept to talk about is general drum tuning, i.e. tightening and loosening. In order to understand this first concept, we're going to look at just the snare drum on its own. Now the first question I need you to ask yourself is, what style is my song? All right, what style and genre does your song or arrangement fall into? Is it pop rock? Is it R&B? Is it a slow jam? Is it funk? Is it heavy metal? And then also, what tempo and feel does my song have? So once you've got your genre and style down, what tempo and feel does my song have? Is it slow? Is it up-tempo? Is it laid back? Is it pushing forward? Now, once you've got these questions answered, I need you to think about these two words in relation to your snare drum sound. These two words, guys. The first word is punch, and the second word is pop. Think about your snare drum sound, punch versus pop. So what do these words mean to you? Let me know in the comments section below. Let me know, what do these words mean to you, punch versus pop in a snare drum sound? Now, to me, these words could also be beefy versus snappy, or even fat versus tight. All right, so punch, beefy, fat versus pop, snappy, tight. All right, to me, a punchy sound in a snare drum lies around the 250 to 350 hertz mark. All right, and the poppy snare sound lies around 600 hertz. Now, if you want to hear what I mean, just go ahead now, dial up those frequencies on a snare sample or recording that you have, just use an EQ plugin and find those frequencies. Once again, that's 250 to 350 for the punchy sound. And for the poppy sound, you want to boost somewhere around the 600 hertz. And you're going to hear what I'm talking about here, that difference between punch and pop. So a great example of a punchy snare would be a big ballad. All right, so think of the 90s, think of Celine Dion and that epic Titanic stuff, all right? In that style, you commonly hear a seriously big, epic snare sound with a ton of reverb and atmosphere for days. A tight popping snare wouldn't work in the same way for this style of music, would it? You need that big ambient snare drum that's punchy rather than poppy. So on the other hand, we have faster music, say 120 to 140 BPM, dance music, pop music, funk. Now in these styles we hear snappy snares. That's a tongue twister. Snappy snares that keep us dancing, of course. And then in some genres, like trap music, for example, we even start to gate the snare in order to make it even shorter and sharper and snappier, don't we? All right, so this is the first concept, guys. What style of music are you creating? And which type of snare is going to be most suitable for this song? Do you need your snare to punch through the mix or pop through the mix? All right, there is a difference. Do you need it to punch through the mix or pop through the mix? Now, once you've figured that out, guys, we then need to look at how to achieve these two sounds, all right? Punching or popping. One way we could do this, we could grab an EQ, of course. We could grab an EQ, like I told you earlier, just boost those frequencies that I mentioned. So 250 to 350 for the punchy sound, or 600 hertz for the poppy sound. But a much more effective way of achieving your drum sound is to start back at the recording phase. Get things right at the source. I love saying that, and I really believe it. You should get things right at the beginning, then you've got less to worry about later. We can achieve both these sounds by tuning the snare drum. All right, we can achieve a punchy sound or a poppy sound by tuning the snare drum. If you want to create a more beefy and punchy sounding snare drum, the first thing to do would be to loosen the drum head. Loosening that skin on the drum head is going to allow it to vibrate at a lower frequency and thus get fatter. Now, if you want tightness, on the other hand, you want tightness and pop to your snare sound, tightening that drum head will crisp things up. Alright? Now, in the real world, with real drums, this can all take a bit of time. You have to use that little key thing and go around, I think it's clockwise you go. You have to go to the opposite pin as you go around the drum, and it takes a long time, believe me. But lucky for us, hey, we're in the virtual world with our virtual drums, so all we need to do is have a look for our tuning dial, and we just need to choose whether we're going to turn it up or turn it down. Turning it down to the left will result in a fatter, sloppier sound because we're loosening up that skin. All right. Turning it up to the right will result in a sharper, tighter sound because we're tightening up the skin on that drum head. So let's look at this with our virtual drummer here in Logic Pro 10. Okay guys, here we are in Logic Pro 10 with the drummer set up. This is Darcy playing the Bluebird kit. Alright, so what have we got set up here? The tempo is 80. We've got a 6/8, so this is our slow ballad we're doing here. We've got a nice slow ballad in 6/8 or 3/4, depending on how you're going to write a ballad. I usually go for 6/8, but it's a debate that's always ongoing. And the arrangement we've got here is kick, snare, hi-hat, and I've got a little shaker in there going on as well. I mean, I kind of just threw this together. Let's have a listen to it first. Okay, yes, pretty normal, the normal type of drum beat you might have for a slow ballad. The thump, thump, snare, thump, thump, snare, and the shaker is just kind of keeping us in time, basically. Alright, so if we want to look at tuning our drums, what we'll need to do, and you may or may not have even known this, it took me a while to even work this out, head on over here to where it says drum kit in the channel strip. And you'll get this comes up, drum kit designer. Hello, there's your drum kit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to, as we mentioned before, for this style of song, we're going to loosen up those drum heads. So you can click on each thing here. Yes. Right, you can click on each piece of the kit and do all sorts of things with them. So let's look at the snare drum first. And over here we've got the tune dial, and we're just going to turn it down. Let's say something about there. So now it sounds like this. As opposed to... Right, so we've loosened up the top head of the snare drum there and just tuned it down. So it's now a looser, sloppier sound that is more appropriate for this style of music. We can do the same on the toms here. You actually have the option to work on each tom individually. You got low, mid, high, but for this we're just going to grab all and tune them all down a little bit. Great. And lastly, let's look at the kick, and let's tune that down a bit. Alright, so now we've got the kick tuned down, we've got the toms tuned down, and the snare tuned down as well. Great. Okay, so let's listen to that now with everything tuned down. We've loosened all the skins and all the heads on those drums to kind of loosen up our sound, make things a little bit more sloppy and lazy, make things more appropriate for this style of music. Let's have a listen. Great, alright, so what we're going to do now to kind of give you an example of what we're doing here and the difference we're making is I'm going to double this up and do a tight version as well so we can kind of compare the two. So let me duplicate this track and we'll double this arrangement and then we'll call this one loose and we'll call this second one tight. And on the tight version, we're going to go back into this drum kit designer here, and we're just going to grab all our instruments and tune them up instead. Alright, so now I'm going to do like an A-B comparison. You can hear the difference between a loose drum kit and a tight drum kit on this style of song. It makes a huge difference, doesn't it? It's way more appropriate to have that loose sound on something that is slow like this and more epic and impactful. Alright? But let's do another example. Let's change our song style to more of that up-tempo stuff we were talking about, that dance style or more pop or something like that, right? Obviously we don't have a full arrangement here, we're just looking at drums. So let's go up here, we're going to take the tempo up to, say, 130? Let's do 130. Not 120 or 140, but right in the middle. Alright, and we're going to change to a 4/4. Alright, and it automatically changes there for you. I love Logic. Alright, let's listen to the loose sound in this new style. So we're nice and up-tempo, 130 BPM, and it's a 4/4. It's maybe more of a dance track, something like that, or a pop rock track. Let's listen to the loose version on this. Kind of sloppy, right? It feels like a mess. A little bit of a mess. Let's listen to the tight version instead. Alright, let me fix this loop because it's gone to 6, but it should be 8. There you go. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to A-B again so you can really hear the difference and why it is more appropriate to have a tight drum kit on this style of song as opposed to a loose drum kit. Let's start with the tight this time. Alright, we're pretty extreme on the tight version here, so let me take that down a bit. I think on the snare it's pretty extreme. Take that down a little bit, like that. Alright, and I mean even if we just listen to the fill at the end, so much more lively compared to this. Right, the tight version is just way more lively, makes you feel like, yeah, let's get up and go. Right? Just because we're tightening the drum heads, we're just lifting things. Alright? So there you go. This is that general concept of loosening or tightening the drum head. Right? We're not thinking about anything else, we're just loosening or tightening. So that's concept 1, guys. General tuning, loosening or tightening, i.e. punch or pop. Oh, one last thing. I do have an ebook for you if you're looking to get started in the recording and mixing world, or even if you're more experienced, if you're looking for some recommendations on all the equipment you need to get started recording and mixing. Nice budget recommendations as well. Nice, affordable, really great quality, affordable equipment. I've got a full list. It's a PDF document that you can download, or an ebook PDF document. Apparently that's the same thing now. But it's 25 pages long, and it's got all that equipment you'll need, with some little helpful hints and tips in there as well. So all you need to do, there's a link in the description below. Click on that. You give me your email address so I can send it over to you, and then you enjoy, and then you make some awesome music. My name's Tim from Audio Tutor. Ciao.